Most challenging aspect of being a drummer is probably keeping the songs as slow as they need to be. I have a tendency to rush, and that tends to happen to a lot of drummers, especially when you're starting to play in front of people and you kind of get nervous. And everybody is feeding off of you as the drummer to keep that heartbeat of the song going, you know, at its pace. And it's really easy to get lost and get excited when, you know, a big fill's coming up, or just any song that you really enjoy playing. It's so easy to play it too fast, and that can be the #1 thing to kill a song. Even if everybody plays their parts right, if it's rushed, then the entire feel of the song can go bad.
I would say, I don't know, fills are always really hard. Trying to be able to deliver what you're thinking in your head fill-wise right at the spot at the time of the song has always been tough. Also, keeping the tempo really steady and not speeding up even when you're really excited.
I mean, coming from a beginner standpoint, it can be independence. A lot of drummers struggle with that. It's just the ability to independently move each limb. But for me at this point in my life, I guess really the main thing that I struggle with is endurance, especially in my rock and roll shows. I get really wore out towards the end of the second set. It can get really tiring, and playing those 3 and 4 hour shows, it gets really rough.
Keeping great time, not good time, but great, as close to the click as possible. Forming like the biggest, deepest pocket you can possibly find. Because the bigger the pocket you form, the tighter you keep that, the tighter the rest of the band goes. I feel like it goes for the rest of the band too. You know, in all instruments, everybody needs a good pocket, but it's drummer's biggest responsibility. It makes it easier on everybody when you get that good pocket. Because I try to practice with a metronome practically almost every day, just trying to get my natural time in my mind. Another one, challenging aspect, is trying not to overplay. Like, just whenever I hear trying to get, it's like hearing what's best for the band sometimes. That at times can be difficult.
Probably the most challenging aspect is keeping that separation of emotion and your mechanical ear, I think. Having to keep right on top of the tempo and not get too involved in or too swept away in any kind of melody in the song, but just trying to keep that rock solid tempo is a big thing. And I think a lot of people forget that when they look at the drummer. You know, they think he's just back there having a good time, but really he's trying to count the whole time to keep everybody else in sync.
A challenge for me is to know that fine line. You know, when is it appropriate for me to serve the song? When is it okay to kind of step out a little bit and kind of be a little bit more in the foreground? I play in a trio, so there's a lot of space for us to have the bass, drum, and guitar kind of equal parts, but you don't really want to, you know, you don't want to form any sort of like ego or anything while you're playing, thinking, well, this instrument needs to be in the foreground. Like we were talking about a minute ago, you know, serving the song is most important. Sometimes you just have to play the straightest beat possible, you know, and sometimes you have to remember that it might be a good idea for you not to play at all, and it's hard, you know, because it doesn't seem like you feel like you're not doing your job, but that sometimes can be sort of the best thing. So I guess that's something I sort of go back and forth with, is so those times to sort of step in and kind of step out a little bit.
You can't overplay, and you don't want to underplay. It's finding really the perfect, or not necessarily the perfect, the right feel for every song, for every show. And sometimes it's really easy, and sometimes it is painfully hard.
To turn the heads of more than just the common folks. Probably, you know, everybody hears the music or hears the drum beat, but to turn a musician's head is something that I've always wanted to strive for. Because when you turn a musician's head, you know, it's just like a way bigger of a compliment, it seems like, as a drummer. Like when you know another drummer's out there and they understand rhythm and everything a little more than everybody just standing around listening. So to turn their heads, probably a goal, turn the heads of great musicians maybe even. And just to make everybody feel connected and understand the rhythms that I'm playing, but also to lose them at times so that when you come back, it feels even greater to have them feeling connected and more to the music.
My overall goal as a musician is first and foremost to make all of the musicians that play with me feel as good as they possibly can when I jam with them. I try to lay down a good pocket and a good groove, that way the guys can just fall into place and play what they need to play.
Growing up, of course, was just to be the best drummer I could, and then forming a band. Now, you know, sort of my personal goals change a little bit to work with the other guys and just sort of the goals that we have as a band. I think, you know, making songs that connect with people, spreading that music around as much as we can, and you know, of course, making albums and touring.
Of course, I want to excel and be, you know, play to my fullest potential, but I mean, I really just like to leave a lasting impression after shows and to have people, you know, to be noticed and to be, you know, and be solid. And it's something I'm really dealing with is playing shows all the way through live and not having any mistakes and really trying to perfect, you know, everything being in the right time and all the fills being in the right spots and really just polishing off a live performance as much as I can.
Have fun playing and try to make a career off of it. You know, as long as I can just pay the bills and get from A to B, I'm happy as long as I can play.
My overall goal as a musician is to play at Red Rocks Amphitheater. That is my goal.
To be a better player, to grow and to be a better player, and to keep playing as long as I have 2 legs, 2 arms, and a heartbeat.
Well, I love the Athens music scene. It's one of the main reasons I came to Athens. I'm a music major here at UGA, but the School of Music here is mostly classical. I mean, it's all classical music. I play orchestral snare drum, timpani, and marimba there. But I really came to Athens for this music scene, this downtown Athens music scene. The rock and roll's awesome. There's even a little jazz, funk, and blues, and R&B. I mean, anything you want, you can find it here, and it's all really great music. And I really feel blessed to be in this city.
The Athens music scene is booming and bustling right now. It's huge. The only thing that sucks is that the economy has gotten so bad, and it's hard for people to go see shows as much as they used to. But you know, also with the Georgia Theater burning down, that made things really tough for a lot of local bands. A lot of people are having to move out of the Athens area.
You can go out literally any night of the week and hear a band. So I mean, it's just really cool to be able to have a network of friends and family around you all the time to play with and to support.
The Athens music scene, I think it's an awesome place for music. I mean, of course, there's all different types of genres all coming together, playing in this town. As a musician, it has its pluses and its minuses. Of course, there's going to be other musicians who are always better than you, and you know that it's hard to take the spotlight in a town like this when everybody's got so much going on. But at the same time, there's so many opportunities to play different places and to different crowds.
It's great to have a town that can support a lot of bands and a lot of different types of bands. There are folk rock bands, country bands, jam bands, jazz trios, electronic music, you know, anything across the board. I think does really well here, and it's because people support independent music and authentic and original music.
I was excited to move to Athens to go to school here for University of Georgia, but you know, I knew that the first thing I was going to do was going to try to start a band, and it's pretty amazing, and I've appreciated it more and more as we've toured, because people around the country, as I sort of visit other cities and then talk to them, and people all over the country and even around the world know about Athens and this sort of gem that it is, that, you know, a tiny town with 400 bands or something like that. It's really crazy, and how supportive it is, and it really kind of perpetuates itself, and it's really allowed our band to have a great place to start, to sort of feel at home and comfortable, even though these amazing artists come out of here, and it's a little intimidating but at the same time, having peers and literally neighbors and friends that are great musicians and bands kind of keeps you on your toes. So anytime we play in Athens, we know it's a big deal for us, and it's important to sort of play your best because you kind of know who, you know, that you're playing to a room of musicians. On and on and on. I feel like every day of the week you can go out and see a good show in Athens, and that's the only town like it that I've seen. So
we have all the great artists to thank from the past that's made the scene as what it's become today. You know, your B-52s, your REM, your Widespread Panic, all those people that brought a community, a whole city together to recognize music like all the time. It's the people in the town, it's the musicians, it's the history, it's all of it that makes it what it is, which makes it so wide known across the country as a spot to be. Most musicians' mecca.
Universal rhythm. Now, I definitely believe in universal rhythm. Everybody has some kind of beat within inside them that they can let out. I mean, drumming is the oldest form of music known to man. Drumming came from Africa years and years and years and years ago. I mean, before any other instruments were invented, the drums were the first thing that humans played. So, coming from way back then, it's obvious that everybody, it comes from the most basic foundations of human existence. Drums are the most basic musical thing, I feel like. Rhythm, just basic rhythm, beat, groove. Anybody can get into it and dance, and I definitely believe that everybody feels it.
You sit in your car at a red light and you get pissed off at the red light. You flick your blinker on because you're turning left, and it's like click, 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 click. It's a steady metronome, so you get tired of the red light, so you start beating on your steering wheel, just working how many beats you can work around the metronome, getting your mind working around it. Car alarms, sirens, anything.
Everybody, you know, has a sense of rhythm, whether they know it or not, and I don't know, drums and drumming is something that can tie us all together universally, so it's something we can all share.
No matter what people's ears like, whether they can play notes, whether they can play, you know, melodic scales on an instrument, or they can even tell, they can feel.
For sure, everybody's got a heart in their chest, so that means everybody has a beat in their chest, moving in similar rhythm, you know, beating do-do, do-do, do-do. It's all similar. That's probably why everybody probably has pretty similar timing, or can feel the same things a lot of times. It's funny, I think, like how it beats in twos, and the most common time signature is 4/4, which is the next even number up. So it's like, maybe because our heart beats in twos, like even numbers make it feel complete when it comes around to 4. It's like maybe the higher the blood pressure of a person, the faster their timing. Who knows?
There is a physical way and movement of everything. There's natural laws, you know, and rhythm just is a part of that. And if you open your ears to everyday things, you can kind of hear it sometimes. Now, how do you tap into it? I couldn't tell you. I think that's probably the goal of most drummers and percussionists and musicians as a whole. You know, the idea that there's this something bigger than us.